Welcome back to Forged Knox. This is part 2 of the drill press restoration. I'm working on my own today. Zach's away at a birthday party. Usually he's the one that does all the talking. I don't like doing the talking. But here we are, we're going to give it our best shot. So we got the blast booth set up, kindly donated by CSJ Engineering. Check those blokes out, check out Iron Fire, they make a great barbecue. Well, we got this set up because we're just about to take apart all the rest of the bits of the drill press, get all the bearings out and all that sort of stuff. So we'll cut to that. We have the quill or the spindle if you're talking in metric. I guess I'll take this part off first. You can see it's very greasy in here. The bearings actually feel really good. I'm in two minds about taking it apart actually, but I do want to clean it up, so I do want to re-grease the bearings. I was going to replace the bearings, but they really do feel really good, so I might get away with keeping them. So I'll just give this a quick clean up and we'll come back and see how we go taking it apart. Okay, so there we are, all nice and clean-ish. And when things are clean, it's a lot easier to work out how they come apart and go back together. There's a hole in the quill here, which actually lines up with the grub screw that holds in that collar. So I'm hoping take that, loosen that grub screw, that collar should slide off the shaft and the bearing should fall out with it. That's what I'm hoping. First we might take this little bit off. So here we go. As with everything else, everything's nice and easy to take apart and undo. It's obviously been well looked after. Although there is build up of grease and gum and stuff everywhere. Oh, yep, look at that. Just slip right off there. As I was saying before, everything that has a locking collar like this has a recess inside the ring. Now this part doesn't actually move, but all the other parts that do move on the main post, like I said, I'm going to drill and tap a hole to take a grease nipple. It's not necessary on this part, but we are going to have to clean all that up. Yep, that was easy. Just put that back in there so I don't lose it or forget where it goes. Now we'll have a go at this bearing collar. Just line up that grub screw. Yep, look at that, nice and easy. Take that grub screw out, put that in my bucket. Now we're just going to have to, now we're going to go. I'll have to try and pry that off. Okay, that's pretty stuck on there. Was there another grub screw? No, just the one. Looks like it should come off that way. Let's see how it can come out the other way, so. Don't really want to, but I'll give it a bit of a tap, see what happens. driven the handle down on my screwdriver, so yes. I'll just have to have a beer and think about that, I think. Yep, we'll be back. Well, the thinking juice kicked in a bit. I'm going to try very carefully tap on the end of this shaft. Hopefully that'll drive against that collar. Maybe tap it out. Let's hope. Yeah, it's driving it out, but still not loose. Seems to be driving just driving the other end out through the bearing. We'll keep going, see what happens. I really should have a soft blow hammer for this, but I don't have one, so I'm just being really careful. One more for courage. Hey, here we go. Ah, okay, yep. Yep, righto, so that shoulder there seats inside the bearing in there. Yep, that collar's a bit looser now, so should maybe. The collar still doesn't want to come off, and that's stopping right there. Can't really feel the lip on that spline. It'll go. Okay, so I'm going to need we should have a bigger punch, but of course handy. Okay. Don't buy cheap punches. Let me go and get a real one. Okay, better punch. It's not a real punch, but it's just an old 3/8 breaker bar that the head broke off, and I'll just cut it off, and it makes it a nice little punch. Okay. That doesn't look or feel good. Keep going, see what happens. Okay, so right. I don't know what that's from, but there's a little burr inside there, actually a big burr. It's actually lined up with one of the recesses in the spine there. I'm going to have to get a round file and sort that out. Those bearings definitely seem to be pressed in. Yeah, okay, once the shaft's out, you can actually feel the bearing. It is pretty notchy. Yep. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to have to replace these bearings. I do have a bearing puller kit. I'm just going to have to try and get them out and find a replacement. Really hope we can find a replacement. I'm really hoping that collar pushes out of that bearing, so we don't have to try and find a bearing with a collar, which I don't know, because that bearing feels alright actually. It's just that one, the bottom one there is really notchy. You can feel the rollers falling into their seats as you bring it around. So we'll definitely replace that one. While we're at it, might as well do both of them. As for the actual shaft, well, that bit there, that's ready for blasting and clean up. So we'll put that over there in the blast pile. Actual shaft. There's a little washer on there, but looks like no, it's just a bridge. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to have to find a drift to fit that, so I can get these Morse adapters out. And obviously going to be replacing the chuck. That's very old and obviously broken. Missing, looks like missing two of its teeth. I don't know how they fell out. We're going to replace that. I don't know if that's a Morse 1 to a Morse 2 to a Morse 3. Or a 2 to a 3 to a 4. I think that's a 3. But we'll find out soon enough. Yeah, we'll try and drive that out, and then that there is just one piece, one complete shaft. All we're going to do is just get that cleaned up, put it away, ready for reassembly, and try and get these bearings out. More thinking juice. So it turns out my bearing puller is at work. I've already been in there once today, so I'm not going back. So I'll go and get that tomorrow. But let's take a break from the dirty, greasy stuff. Here's some of the hardware I've been cleaning up. I don't have any footage of cleaning any of this stuff up. It was really just quick lick on the wire brush on the grinder. Then ran over it with the Scotch-Brite belt on the belt grinder, and then polished it up on the mop on the polishing wheel. All except for this one. Actually chucked this in a lathe and really worked on getting all those rust pits out. The whole thing was covered in rust pits like this part here. I think I'm just going to paint just this part and leave this part nice and shiny, and probably paint that part. I'll get Zach to put in some footage of cleaning this bit on the lathe. There's not much of it, but the only reason I didn't get any footage of this stuff is, quite honestly, I forgot. There's the pin to lock the table. There's your wing nuts to lock in the motor tension, the belt tension for the motor. There's our spring lock for the quill. There's all our hardware for tightening up all the clamps around the post. And there's our depth gauge. It's all cleaning up really, really nice. I don't know if there's going to be any more that's going to clean up like this. I think all the rest of the parts might be painted from here on in. Once it's all painted, all the shiny parts all put back together, she's just going to be beautiful. Let's just hope we can get it working properly. Here we have this behemoth. Actual head off the drill. Same as the same as the quill. The bearings feel really good, but once we knock the shaft out, they might turn out to be not so good. There's some end play there. I don't know if they're supposed to be or not. I don't even know if that would affect it too much. The pulley is alloy. All I'm going to do to clean that up, I'm just going to try and we'll wash it first, obviously, and then hit it with some Alibrite, some acid. That should clean it up nicely, and that'll be it. There will be no polishing, nothing like that. There's no point. If you polish it, there's probably a chance the belt will slip, and you won't get the appropriate torque. See, there's a lot of grease in the bearing there. I'm going to have to clean that out so I can see what I'm doing. And the cap off this actually has me a little bit perplexed. The cap that goes on the top here. Right. And it's obviously a dust cap. It keeps all the grease in and all that sort of good stuff. But the top of the cap has a detent for an oiler. You would have thought, I don't know, if you're supposed to put grease in there, you would have thought they'd put a grease nipple in there, not a oiling detent. So I don't know what the go is there. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. So lean this over. Oh yeah, these plaques. I was really hoping the holes for these drive rivets went all the way through the casting, but they don't. I was going to try and knock the rivets out and reuse them. But I do have to pull the plaques off to clean everything up. So I'm going to have to grind the rivets and try to drill them out so I can replace them, which is very difficult to do. We work with them all the time, these drive rivets. Never this small, but once you grind them off, and if you try and drill them out, it's very, very difficult to drill them out straight. And there's, you got that one on that side. The actual Buffalo brand there, and with all your details on your actual RPM of the drill, with your different belt settings. So you've got a serial number there. That's pretty cool. But they're going to have to come off because they've, I don't know if you can see that, they've actually lifted off the casting. They're actually bent, bowed out. Might have been like that when they put them on. These thin plaques, when you use these drive rivets, if it's not exactly in the right spot, when you drive the rivets home, it'll actually bow the plaque and it won't stay flat. So they're going to have to come off. I'm in two minds as to whether I'm going to put them back on. Obviously I'm going to keep them, I'm not going to just throw them away, but I don't know, we'll see how we go in reassembly. I'll have a bit more of a think about that. I'm just going to, we've got to get this spring cover off, hopefully without dislodging the spring. I really don't want that spring to go uncoil and just go everywhere. There's two screws in there, two flathead screws. It appears to just take them screws out and take this off. Hopefully that's the case, without dislodging the spring, obviously. I'm just gonna bring this over, hang it off the edge of the bench, and just try and clean some of this grease out from this bearing. Oh, better put that somewhere so you can see it. Hey. I'm starting to think this machine sat for a long time without being used. Just by the way that quill bearing felt, with all the rollers falling into the notches, it seemed like it was sitting, because that bottom bearing, all the weight is sitting on that bearing, much like kingpin bearing in a live axle four-wheel drive, the front axle. So with all that weight sitting on that bearing, they've just, all the bearing rollers have actually seated themselves into the cone. And now that I've been turning the bearing, every time a roller comes around to the next seat, it sort of just clicks into the next seat. You keep rolling it and it clicks into the next seat. And they shouldn't do that. It's a sure sign that the bearing's warm. So yeah, there's actually a lot of play in that. That's not good. So a bit more of a clean up on this bearing. All the big grease off. I'm just trying to get more of a clean up. I don't have a press. Just gonna have to try and knock this shaft out. Obviously very, very carefully. Hopefully I don't do any damage. One more for courage. So I just reposition this a bit. Oh, you can see that. It's kind of cleaned up. It's got all the big grease off it anyway. So I'm thinking that shaft there should just press right out of those bearings and just come out the other end where the quill actually goes in. Let's hope. Once again, I should be using a soft blow hammer, but I don't have one. So we'll just start gentle and just see what happens. Okay, I don't like that at all. That's just putting dents in the top of that shaft. If I keep going, it's just going to burr the end over, and no, I just don't like it. So I don't know. Alright, we'll try something else. Set that back up. Man, that's heavy. Righto, here we have the poor man's press. The old socket. See what happens here. Fair bit of give in this bench, so it's not really giving me a good surface to hit against. And a nice big steel bench set up to work on. That'll be really, really good. On the corner here above the leg of the bench. Use a bigger hammer. See what happens there. Doesn't seem to be going very far at all. There's no circlets. Nothing obviously physically holding in. It's just the friction fit. So. It is going, but very slowly. I don't like the way that pulley's jumping up and down. Hear that? Something just fell out. Let's hope it was supposed to. Maybe not. Something just fell off the bench, I don't know. So. What I also don't like is trying to drive the shaft out this way and putting a lot of shock on this arm here, and this is cast steel, and no doubt it's very, very strong, but I just don't want to shock it so much that I actually crack it, because then we'd be in big trouble. Have to get it welded back together and probably never sit true again. Oh, so I don't know. I think I'm going to have to find someone with a press. Try and press that shaft out. Really sucks because I really wanted to get this apart today, but these things happen, and I'd rather the job take a little bit longer than destroying the actual drill. So yep, so we're just going to wait for that. We'll see if I can find somebody with a press, and we'll press that shaft out and get these bearings out. Do it the proper way. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, we'll have a go at getting this spring cap out. It's just two. I won't bother trying to show you, I can't even see them myself, really. But there's two flathead screws in here. I've just got to get the screwdriver in between the actual springs. I don't know how this is going to work, but just start. Yeah, it's loosened up, that's good. I know, they must. It's going to be fun to get back on, I tell you. Do one side at a time. Oops, there we go. Right, that old thing just looks like it just presses together. Two little screws in there to screw it onto the head. You can see our spring inside there. It's actually, no, it's not caught up. No, it's caught up on one of the screws. Set that screw back down, and there's our spring, and that's where this part comes into it. There's a little screw head there. It's being ground down. I don't know if it's ground down or worn down, but it still seems to work. There's a, probably can't see it, it's too dark, Eddie. There's a little slot in the end of the spring there. This just sits in there. You turn it around and it just, that screw in that shiny part just slots into that, or just falls into that slot in the spring. And that's how you tension up your quill. That's pretty cool. That's good. I won't take that apart. I don't want that spring to unwind at all. I've really got to be careful I don't lose these screws though. But I'm going to have to clean this up. I'll put it on the wire wheel. Might give it the same treatment as all the other shiny bits. Someone has obviously painted this at one stage, obviously a long time ago, but you can't really see, but I mean, maybe they didn't. Like I say, I don't know very much about these machines at all. They either did a very good mask job, or this is how they were actually assembled and painted, which, I don't know, it just seems really rough to me. So I'm going to paint all the parts separately and then reassemble it. But all these kind of bits, they'll just polish up really nice, I reckon. They'll just look really nice. This is a blue, some kind of blue. We're deliberating about what colour to paint it. I think I'm just going to settle on a machinery grey, like a mid to a dark grey. But yeah, it should look really good with all these shiny bits. hanging off it. So yeah, that's that bit off. I think I might get a chisel. I said I was going to grind these rivets, but I won't. I don't want to risk wrecking the actual plaques. You can refurbish these plaques. I've never done it before, but I just don't want to wreck them. So I'm going to get a chisel, and I'll just knock the heads of these rivets off. You've got to watch when you're doing this too. The heads of these rivets, when you knock them off, they go flying. You never find them, but you just got to make sure you're not knocking them back towards yourself. They can go in your eye, they can probably do some damage, or in somebody else's eye. So same thing with anything else you do, just be aware of what you're doing. There you go, that's all. That one didn't go flying, made a liar out of me, but that's not too bad. At least by doing this, we're not wrecking the plaque. So, hey, that's all four out. Well, there you go, that answers my question. It's the same colour paint under the plaque as what's on the outside of it. Now, whether that's the original paint or they've just matched the paint and repainted it, I don't know, but there you go, it's obviously the original colour. Put that up so you can see it. Oh, it looks like the same colour to me anyway. So all I've got to do is grind these rivets out a bit and try and drill them out, and then so I can maybe replace them, I don't know. Because this plaque was actually the top of the plaque was sitting over the tail at the end of that comes off the end from Canadian there. So to me that was pretty rough. So I don't think I'm going to put it back on there. Alright, let's flip it around and do the other one. Laying it over there somewhere. Hey, here's our other plaque. And some insect eggs. I'm sure there's been lots of things living in this thing over the years. Oh look, a little earwig. We've had thousands of these bloody things lately. They can't hurt you, but they're just a pain in the bum. Righto, so that's the plaques off. The spring housing off. Gotta find a press to take this shaft out and the bearings. Might actually look at getting these bolts out. I bet you I don't have the right spanner on me. No, I don't. Yeah, the trusty old Boilermaker's hammer. One tool to rule them all, they say. That in there is actually it feels solid. Must be a spacer. Oh yeah, it's moving. It's actually bending. That's not good. That's made of plastic. Lay this down, get a better purchase on it. Ow! Don't drop that on your finger, it hurts. Ow. Oh, good on you. Okay, first mishap of the build. I broke a part. Man, that's disappointing. Where to go? Come out of there? I can't see. I don't know where the other bit of that went, but that's actually just a piece of wood. So I can just copy that profile and cut a new piece of wood, make it the same thickness. Or I could use, if there's any reason why you can't use steel, but alloy, plastic, make up some micarta or use anything for that really. And there's actually, you didn't see before, there's a grub screw right there that goes all the way through. You must use that, wish I'd have known about that before, you must use that to spread the flanges apart so you can put your space through. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Okay, so that was fairly painless to take apart. Everything doesn't look too bad, except this part here, which it's too heavy. This part here has actually been broken before and welded back together. I'm going to have to clean that up and have a good look at it, make sure it's a good weld, make sure it's not going to break again. If that's been brazed or actually electric welded. We'll clean that up and have a good look. Also, as I'm going to drill out every piece like this that moves. I'm going to drill out for a 6mm grease nipple, so that all the movable parts on the post you can actually grease up and lubricate, and you don't have to worry about anything seizing up ever again, hopefully. It looks pretty good. That pin came out alright. I thought I'd have a lot more trouble with that. We'll get this all cleaned up. I think I'm just going to paint these parts. There's them funny looking bearings again. Funny looking and funny name. You can just see that. I don't know if you can see that. Nice Ball Bearing Company. Or Nice Ball Bearing Company. I don't know. But I thought that was pretty funny. So we'll get them cleaned up. I don't know if I'll be able to buy them again, but they don't feel too bad. Yeah, that one's a bit notchy, a bit dry. A bit of grease might fix that up. Make sure I don't lose that washer. Righto, so we got all the bearings out today. They were a bit... Well, they weren't... It wasn't difficult to get them out, but we did try to get them out the wrong way. As a result of that, we did crack 2 of the bearings. But once we worked out how it was actually supposed to come apart, it came apart really easy. We got to clean up the shaft a bit. We got the bearings out of the quill, and yeah, it was pretty productive day. I didn't get as much done as I thought we would.
What you doing, Dad?
Oh, g'day, mate.
G'day.
I'm just wrapping up the video. All the rest of the video we did yesterday. Just trying to wrap it up. This is going to be the end of the video. So.
It's my job.
What?
It's my job.
What do you mean that's your job?
I'm supposed to wrap up the video. You were only
Well-
filming for me yesterday.
Yeah, you were supposed to do all the videos. I wasn't supposed to talk in any of the videos, but you weren't here, so I did most of it, so I thought I'd just...
Yeah, but I'm here now.
So I'll just go and sit over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's all we can do for this weekend. During the week we'll be sandblasting the stuff to get ready to paint it. But that'll be all in the next episode.
That was it? That's all you wanted to say?
Yeah.
You kicked me out just for that?